video, we'll talk about how to find sources in the library databases for your Nobel paper. You've met me before. I'm Dawn Emsalam, the library director, and if you have any questions after this, you can Google Dawn Salve Library and find my contact information. So what are we doing here today? Well, in order to find these scholarly resources or resources in our databases, the first thing we need to do is create a research strategy. And then we're going to practice using the library's article search, which is searching in our EBSCO library databases. And then we're going to identify the search words or phrases that will be most effective depending on what your topic is in those databases. Then at the end, you're going to do an activity in which you will actually find sources for your paper. So hopefully after this, you're going to walk away with some of the sources that you actually need to complete your Nobel paper. So what's first? The first thing to do is to look very closely at your research paper assignment. So your professor has shown you exactly what she would want you to do to complete this assignment. And you're going to be thinking about, again, the significance of the prize win. And in the context of the socio-political or historical environment, and also the impact of the win on the issues that are important to the individual, the winner. And then she also specified that she would like you to use MLA, Modern Language Association format, for the citations for your sources that you find. She'd like you to use 2 or more primary sources, 2 or more secondary sources, and she'd like you to find those sources in the library databases. So after we've looked at that assignment, next we're going to think about how to craft a research strategy. And to do that, we can ask ourselves 4 questions. First, what information is required? And the information that we need to find is analysis of the Nobel Prize win. So that's the kind of information we're going to be looking for in the databases. In our last class, we talked about finding the primary sources on the web. So you can do that for the primary sources you need to find, but for your secondary sources, we're going to be looking in the EBSCO databases. Second question is, what types of sources are required? So these are scholarly articles or books or book chapters. And your professor has also said as long as they are found in the databases, that they don't actually need to be peer-reviewed. So we'll talk a bit more about that when we get into the databases. The third question is, which search tool is going to help you find this information most effectively? And in this case, your professor and I suggest the library's article search, which is our EBSCO host databases. And finally, the final question is, which search words or phrases will we try in each tool? And this is a process. So you're going to be trying different words in the search tool to see which ones work best. So you should have a bunch of ideas in mind, and those ideas could include the Nobel Prize winner's name, of course, the name of the prize they won, peace, literature, that kind of thing. It could include the countries or regions where if the issues are really localized and important to the prize winner, or words that describe the issues that are important to the winner, such as education or chemistry. Now, the next thing to consider is that different search tools have different ways of bringing back results. So this is called the search algorithm. Google's search algorithm is very flexible, and it will bring back all kinds of results, any words, and you can type whatever you want in there. You could type an entire sentence. The EBSCO databases in our library book catalog, you have to be very specific about which words you want to use. And usually we use only nouns. So again, proper names or names of countries, and also the issues. So you don't need adjectives and you don't need prepositions, just nouns. So let's think a little bit about the difference between primary and secondary sources. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page so you know what you're looking for. So a primary source is a first-hand account of events in a particular time period. So these are speeches, the Nobel speech of your winner. It could be footage of an event, a historical event that maybe led to the person taking action that led them to win the prize. It could be news reporting on the event. The person's diaries or interviews with the person. Those are firsthand interviews. In other disciplines, like the sciences, so if you have a winner who's a scientist, it could be their original research study, which led to the win of their prize, so their actual findings, research findings. And then secondary sources are analysis or interpretation of the primary sources. So, biographies may utilize speeches and diaries and interviews, and they are sort of analysis of those primary sources. News, not reporting, but analysis. So they're taking reporting, so they're looking at what happened and they're analyzing it in the context of what happened. And then the scholarly side of things are academic articles that analyze things. So these are just articles that are in academic journals that are doing similar things to what news analysis does, but with a kind of a more specific academic focus. And books also can do that, the same as academic articles can. Right. And we also have to think about the terms we're using. So database in general, it's a collection of different types of information that's kind of organized in a way that make them easy to access. In library land, a database is a collection of usually journals, and in EBSCO's case, it can include books. And they can be for certain disciplines. So if you're a nursing major, there's nursing databases. If you're an ADJ major, there's ADJ databases, education databases, art databases. So in our case, our EBSCO databases are grouping a bunch of them together. So they're looking at all different disciplines all at once. References and citations are what you have to do in this paper, and you're going to be using, you're going to be citing the authors you're using. So you're going to put parentheses around the author's last name and the page numbers that you found the author's idea. So that to make sure your reader, in this case your professor, can look at the citation that you provide at the end of your paper and find the thing you looked at and where you found it. And then peer review is in scholarly publications, and this means other experts read the article or book and said, you left out this, or this wasn't a good way to go about doing this study, and you need to redo this, and you didn't think about this. And then the author edits it and resubmits it, and it may go through another round of peer review. So that's one way of identifying scholarly sources, is that they're peer reviewed. Now, scholarly sources, when you're looking in the database, it may say academic article or scholarly article. And this means that the subject matter is communicating either original research findings or it may be analysis. The audience is supposed to be other scholars, but also students who are learning to be scholars. And the authors are usually almost always scholars as well. So they're experts in the thing they're writing about. We talked about peer review. So scholarly articles are usually peer reviewed. And the language, just to give you a heads up, is usually a bit difficult. It's very specialized and very serious. And it's a little difficult to read at first. But after you get used to it, it gets a lot easier. So with that, let's jump into the library databases. And I'm just going to look at your your different people, the different people that you may be, your professor gave you options to cover. And I think I'll go to the articles tab right here. So if you're on the library homepage, so you Google Salve Library, go to the library homepage, you're looking in these EBSCO databases. And what we can do is we can type Toni Morrison. And since she won the Nobel Prize for Literature, we'll start by typing in literature. And we're going to hit search and see what happens. Okay. So the first thing to point out is how many results we got. And we got 6,935 results. And since Toni Morrison is an author, there's a lot of analysis of her literature. So this actually is, we could use some other words. So this is something that may happen to you. It may not, but it may happen to you, is that you have too many results and the results aren't the results you want. So you can, if you have too many results and they aren't like specific enough to what you want, then you can add more words. So we're going to try Nobel Prize and see what happens there. Now we have 334 results, and we're going to look. And so when you see this PDF full text, it means that the book, this in case as a book chapter, is right there in the database. When you see this find full text request item, it may not be in this database, but the library has like 100 other databases. So if you wanted this article, and we can look, we can click over here to see if there's an abstract. It doesn't, but it seems like it's talking about the reception to her winning the Nobel Prize in Germany, and that may be interesting. So we can click on this find full text. And this will take us out of the library database and in, and it's saying, do we have it? And we were unable to find full text links for this item. So in this case, you can request through interlibrary loan. And that means that our librarian will ask another library to send it to you. And you just use your first name, last name, and email password and sign in. And it fills out the request form for you. And you can just submit your request. So it's very easy if you find an article that is not in the database that you think you want to use. Now let's say that you found, this looks like a profile on Toni Morrison. And as you see here, it says periodical versus academic journal. So this is a popular source, Time Magazine, and this is an academic journal, which apparently is in the journal Novel, a forum on fiction. And if you wanted to use one of these, you could click on the title, and you could open the PDF full text by clicking on that right here. And if you wanted, you could download the PDF. This is very short. This is only one page, so this probably isn't enough for this paper. So we'd probably go back and look at the result list again. And you can actually see, like this one says, this one's 7 pages. So we may want this one. Let's take a look at this one. This is a nice long article. Or it's maybe long enough. And if you wanted to use this one, what you would do is you could choose to email it to yourself, enter your email right there. And then you could choose the citation format. So you could choose MLA citation, and that would email you both the article and the citation, and you'd have both for your paper. Now, the other option could be if you wanted to and you found a PDF that you were really interested in. This talks about Toni Morrison's life. It's only 3 pages. Or if you wanted perhaps this one, you could click on this, and then you could download the PDF. And then if you just wanted the citation, you could click on Cite and scroll down here to MLA and copy that. Now you're going to be asked in your activity to include the MLA citation and the permalink. So here's the MLA citation under Cite, or in your email you can get it, but the little yellow box is for Cite, and the permalink is right here. And it's really important that you use the permalink. So you click on permalink and then you can copy this. Now it's really important that you don't use this link up here, because every year in the library I have students come up to the reference desk and they have been searching for hours and collecting URLs for articles they like, and they use this link up here, and this link will never get them back to the article again. And it's very sad, and we have tears because this link includes what we call a session ID, which is like the date and time and place where you looked at the article, and it doesn't work if you want to use it again. This permalink is what you need to look at the article again. So this is a short introduction for how to use the Articles tab to find articles, download them, get the MLA citation and the permalink. And now you can try to do your activity.